So now we are about to launch Unit 4. And Unit 4 deals with the marketing plan. And if you think of a business plan as that big a document, the marketing plan is a component of that. I've always had issues with the idea how the marketing plan is separate but the same. The marketing plan is a component of the business plan. Okay, so what we need to be able to do is to look at this component. It's probably one of the most important ones because it's going to say, I have a product here in my business idea that someone will buy. The material that we're looking at is reflected in chapters 7 and 8 of the textbook, dealing with marketing and the application of marketing. What are we going to do in this unit? We're going to look at the market plan, the role of market planning, major steps in creating the market plan, the external environment in relation to calculating, developing the marketing plan, market research in relation to the market plan, effective customer relationship management in terms of the marketing plan, marketing goals in relation to the marketing plan, the monitoring aspect of the business plan, of the marketing plan, sorry. And then we kind of look at the next chapter, which is really looking at advertising, promotion, some of the 4 P's of marketing that we have to employ while we're actually looking at the market and proving that the market is a market that we can actually sell the products that we're making. So we're going to look at marketing, promotion, advertising, demand, direct and indirect sales, target markets, and strategies. Finally, the whole 13 is really 13 is a summary of the whole thing, which is really to develop the marketing plan. The first thing I wanted to look at was, okay, let's look at this idea of saying, why in the heck do we want to develop a marketing plan anyway? So I picked this as a kind of an example of some of the issues, and this is not a small business. Well, I suppose $500,000 people makes it a small business, but if we're the province of Newfoundland and Labrador, like any business now, it wants to market itself. Okay, so how do you market yourself in relation to every other province, every other territory, every other place in the world? How do you make yourself stand out? What is it that is unique to make you stand out? So there's been a lot of work done over the last 20 years with regards to developing a marketing plan for Newfoundland. Simple as that. And a lot of research has been done, a lot of focus groups, a lot of questionnaires of tourists coming in, tourists leaving, exit surveys. We do. Been a whole bunch of work done. And really, that whole bunch of work has resulted into some of the advertising that we see today and some of the techniques and strategies that small businesses here in Newfoundland are using in order to capture the market when it comes here, okay? This particular document right here, well, here's an ad. First of all, I squeeze them all in one as opposed to, and I don't know if I should have done that. This particular ad right here is a good example of what is it that people come to Newfoundland for. There's the fjord over in Grossmorn. And you can see that, wow, it's stunning. It's stunning. So obviously you want to appeal to people who think that that's something worth seeing. And the adage that has come out of the marketing plan and marketing assessment here in Newfoundland is that Newfoundland is not Disneyland. It's not necessarily for the people who want to go to Disneyland. This is totally the opposite. This is real. Disneyland is fake. This has natural beauty, whereas Disneyland is man-made beauty. So we got that differentiation is a key thing. And the people who come here, a lot of research has been done with regards to the people that come here in order to say, who is the customer that will come and look at that? What type of people? So the document is called Creating Experiences, a Toolkit for Tourism Industry in Newfoundland. This is a document I got a couple of years ago through Legendary Coasts. It's online. And in that, this is what you use as a training toolkit for small businesses that are looking at the tourism opportunity here in the province. And you can see some pictures here. The first step in exceeding your customers' expectations is to know their expectations. That's a key one. A rising tide lifts all boats. I think John F. Kennedy was quoted with that. Yes. So the basic toolkit is designed to provide information about business opportunities and surrounding experiential travel. One of the things that Newfoundland really sells is this idea of we're not Disneyland, we're Newfoundland. And the terminology that's often used for that is experiential travel. The people that come here are looking for something in terms of experience. They want to go away with a memory they'll never forget. And that's been an underlying theme in a lot of the market research that's been done on Newfoundland. So what I've done here is I want to just focus on this. This is the research that has been conducted. This is what the findings are. Let me just bring the size up so you can read it as easily as I can. For Newfoundland and Labrador, there's no such thing as an accidental tourist. It takes deliberate action to visit here, compelled by curiosity, the promise of what is unique and different in our culture, history, lifestyle, and dramatic scenery. Our research confirms that typical touring and explorer travelers coming to Newfoundland and Labrador are singles and couples age 45 plus with no children living at home. Not a good place to set up an amusement park for kids if you're looking for that offshore tourist. Well-educated and higher than average household incomes. These are well-off people. Looking to discover the unusual, the exotic, the unscripted, and off the beaten path. Newfoundland is about as far off the beaten path as you can get. Knowledgeable, experienced, and curious travelers for whom travel is a form of self-expression and discovery. Again, going back to there's no such thing as an accidental tourist. Seeking a broad range of authentic, again, not Disneyland, it's authentic, quality tourism experiences. Expecting to receive value for their money. They don't mind paying for it, but they want value in return. Primarily from Ontario, Alberta, English-speaking Quebec, and the Maritimes. Secondary markets include United States, United Kingdom, and Germany. So the research has found where people are coming from. Mostly Canada, mostly Ontario. In order to increase tourism revenue, it's extremely important that we continue to attract more travelers into the province and encourage those travelers to stay longer and spend more. So that's the basic underlying theme of what we want to do. So if we had a marketing goal, that is the marketing goal, really, to get people here for longer and spend more while they're here. Those of us traveling the province for pleasure comprise an important customer base for our many tourism operators, and we all continue to be travel and brand ambassadors. So again, we're walking that tightrope between come from ways and people who are here, the local traveler. In COVID in particular, this has become important. The local traveler has been very, very important. And you'll see that the evidence is anecdotal as well, because most tourism operators in the province will tell you that the customer base is a mix of travelers, provincial, national, international. The important thing to recognize and remember is that no matter where they come from, travelers today want more out of their vacation time. We all want to participate in or be part of something that's memorable and unique to this place. So that's the key theme that has really been running through all Newfoundland and Labrador campaigns based on this research. Okay, that's what the research has said. Now, the question is, has the market research as a tool been used to create a marketing plan or some element of a system for attracting those said tourists? Well, let's look at the advertising. I want you to think about, does this appeal to that market that was defined by their market research?
I am green today. I chirp with joy like a cricket song. I am gray today, gloomy and damp like a morning fog. I am orange orange today. Loud and messy like finger paint on the wall. I am yellow today. I shine my light out like the sun. I am white today. Soft and quiet like new snow. I am blue today. Calm as glass and cool like the sea. I'm a rainbow today. All the colors of the world. I'm a rainbow today. All the colors of the world. I'm a rainbow today. All the colors of the world are in me. All the colors of the world.
Newfoundland and Labrador.
So those are the types of commercials that are running. They're all of a similar type of theme, and they're all really directed at a type of individual that falls in that category of people that have been identified as the people that come here. I say we're sort of like Costco. We don't have any poor people because we have a high cost of entry, like Costco. And what it does is ensures that the people that come here tend to be a very defined group, well-educated, well-heeled, middle-aged people. And that's the thing that they want to see. They're really here to look at that traditional Newfoundland type of thing. So the advertising really does match the marketing research that was done. And that's effectively what a marketing plan is supposed to do. Figure out and describe what exactly the research has said, and then match up or to make that link between what you're selling or what you propose to sell and that market. The province, corporation, whatever you want to call it, of Newfoundland said, you know, there's an opportunity here for bringing tourists in, and you know, what can we do in order to maximize their stay in terms of how long they stay, how often they come, and what they do here, and the positive vibe that they get out of it. So there's been a tremendous amount of market research done on who is the customer. And if you look at the example of Newfoundland, and what I have here is this is one of their print ads. This here is a document, this creating experience, and I have these linked in the document, in the actual slideshow. This here is an actual working document that allows individual tourism operators basically to start or develop a marketing plan for their individual tourism enterprise. And it talks about, in this document, some of the market research that the government has done in order to kind of figure out who is it that's coming here, what is it they want. Here I've showed you an example of how well that effort has been received out there in the world. This effort that Newfoundland has done has received many accolades, not only here in Canada, but across the world. And it has been a very good example of how to do something right, which I'm glad to say that it comes at it right here. And I showed you this commercial here. This is what's called the crayons ad. And what it tries to do is to demonstrate the multicolored facets of Newfoundland and Labrador, particularly St. John's. And it hooks directly to the market research to say, okay, market research says the type of customer that comes here, the type of tourist that comes here, that's what they're looking for. So it tries to integrate all of these things into this ad package and how it speaks to tourists. So I'll leave that for you. I won't go to that thread again. Okay. Now, we talk about how marketing is so important, and really, you know, we need to be aware of what our customers want and be able to fulfill those needs. We also want to think about what the role that the entrepreneur or the owner manager needs to think about in terms of what role does marketing have, and how can this role be used in order to be able to maximize the return on investment? Because it all comes down to dollars and cents. And said, look, why should I do this is the ultimate question. And the ultimate answer is it's going to make you money. Well, what do you have to do then? Well, we need to develop a marketing plan first and foremost. But once we get it in place, it just doesn't sit there. We need to say, okay, here's our target market, who we're looking for. Identify the characteristics so that we know that the products and services we offer meets their needs. We understand what influences them and their decision making, and be able to make our advertising so that we direct proper message to them. Develop the product and service, which is really something that's being focused on here now with the tourism industry. What is our product? What is the service? What do our tourists want? How we distribute it. So how do we get that message out? Do we put it on billboards? Do we put it on television? Do we put it online? Do we do some combination? Are there target areas that we should put this ads? Where should it go? Pricing. What kind of pricing are tourists willing to pay? Where are we to? And the old adage that there's no accidental tourists in Newfoundland really says that people take an effort to get here. So as a result, they're not going to turn around and go home. The prices are too high. So the focus has been on really increasing the level of service and increasing the price with it, but maximizing value for the customer. And providing information promotion. That's where we get into the commercials. So yesterday when we left off, we were really talking about this thing called the marketing plan. And how the heck do you do a marketing plan? Because it's very important, and it's a very important skill to have. Doesn't matter if you're a small business person or someone who works for someone, you need to know the basics. Any business student should know the basics of how to develop a marketing plan. So it's a significant element. It's a significant element. As I say, it can be standalone, but it is part of a business plan. The marketing plan establishes how you will effectively compete and operate in the marketplace and thus meet the business goals and objectives of your business. Once the strategies of how the business will operate have been established, the entrepreneur can assign cost to these and come up with a budget. How much is it going to cost? Where am I going to get the money to pay for this is ultimately what the entrepreneur needs to consider. The marketing plan, like any other type of plan, must be compared to a roadmap. And as a result, you need to check it regularly. Maybe you need to take a detour every once in a while. The fact is that it is very much a roadmap for your business. Ultimately, the marketing plan needs to answer 3 questions. Where have we been in this business if it's not a new business? Because you can develop a marketing plan for an existing business. And when used as a standalone document, that answering that question can be very much operational. What are we doing? But the basic idea of this is to really do an assessment of where we are. What are our strengths? What are our weaknesses? What are the opportunities? What are the threats? We've already talked about this in the previous section where we said, okay, let's figure out what opportunities exist. And the SWOT analysis that we used back then is really key to answering the question, where have we been? What is the situation right now? And what opportunities potentially exist in order to fulfill into the future? Where do we want to go is the second major question. And we can look at it from 2 perspectives. Where do we want to go this year? Where do we want to go in the longer term, say 5 years? So we really need to look ahead based on the answer to our first question. Our second question is the logical outcome of that says, okay, where are we going? What direction should we head? And basically, the SWOT analysis is going to point you in a direction. It is going to be like a compass. The third question, which is probably the most important in terms of operational, is how we're going to get there. So it's one thing to know that you want to go somewhere. The other thing is how in the heck are we going to get there? So we got to think about the mechanics of how we put this plan into action. Now, management really needs to understand that this marketing plan is a guide. It is a guide, and it's supposed to be used as a guide. It needs to be an active document, meaning that it can change, it needs to be followed, it needs to be assessed, monitored, and potentially scrapped and replaced with something new if that's not working. So it has to be a living document. Basic characteristics of a good marketing plan should be designed to meet certain criteria. Some important characteristics must be incorporated. And we think about, well, what should it do? Well, it should provide a strategy for accomplishing the company's mission and goal. It should be based on facts and valid assumptions. An appropriate method must be described to implement the marketing plan. It should provide for continuity, such as an annual marketing plan built on every year we do a new marketing plan. And it needs to focus on the short term as well as the long term. It shouldn't be too complicated. It should be quick and dirty, simple and short. Nobody's going to deal with the big voluminous document. So point form, that sort of thing is really key in the marketing plan. The plan has to be flexible. And again, we talk about how things change. COVID came in, it changed the rule book. The weather is not good, it changes the rule book. These are the sorts of things in the case of, like, for example, tourism industry that you need to be careful with. And ultimately, you need to test to see, did your plan work? And this is where we get into the monitoring. It should specify performance criteria that will be monitored. Did we achieve our goal? And if not, why not? So I have put in here, and this is right out of your textbook, I put in here general outlines for marketing plans. This is a general outline for a marketing plan for a company that produces something. So it's a manufacturer type business, okay? Effectively, I'll just go through the other ones. I've also put in here a marketing plan for a reseller company. They don't produce anything, they just buy stuff and resell it, a Walmart type model. And I put in here a marketing plan example for a service company, which doesn't sell raw product, but it does sell services. The commonality with all of these is they tend to flow through a process that is described in those steps that we looked at earlier. First of all, we analyze what's going on. So we define the business situation. In all of them, we need to say, where are we? Where are we? The economic outlet, the market, these sorts of things, you know, the projections. That's really what we're looking at. We're getting a sense of where we are. Then we got to say, okay, what are some of the pluses and minuses moving forward? What should we achieve? What should we go after in terms of what opportunities exist out there, and what should we be mindful of what threats based on our strengths and weaknesses? Again, the SWOT analysis is key to identifying this stage. Then we lay out in a marketing plan the actual plan of how we're going to do what we say we're going to do. This is really the strategy. What is our plan? And finally, we have some way to say, okay, how are we going to monitor what is happening? So all three of those, I'm not going to go into them specifically because all three of them are the same type of format, but just for different types of companies. So before you ever start a marketing plan, before you ever write anything, you really need to look at and answer these basic issues. Who are the users? Where are they located? How much do they buy? From whom do they buy it? Why do they buy it from them? How have promotion and advertising been employed in the past with our competition? How is it being employed? What approach is the most effective approach? Because it's expensive. So what works best? What are the pricing changes in the market? So what are the prices for the given products that you're selling? In Newfoundland, for example, what's the average rate of a hotel room stay? How much do people tend to spend every day? These sorts of things. What's the market's attitudes concerning competitive products? Do people feel that the competitor has a higher quality product, a lower quality product? How do they feel about the competition? What channels of distribution supply customers, and how do they function? So let's look at how customers actually buy the stuff. How do they do it? Do they walk into the building? Do they order it online? What's the story? Who are our competitors? Where are they located? What do they have going on? What's good about them? What's bad about them? What marketing techniques are used most successfully by our competitors? What are competitors doing? Let's decide on what they're doing, what works best for them, what doesn't work so well for them. What are the overall objectives of the company for the next short term, year, and long term, 5 years? What's the company's strengths and weaknesses? Your SWOT analysis will help determine that. And what's the company's production capabilities? So it's very much an operational. So I put here a number of graphics. I just wanted to highlight these. These are found in the textbook. This one here is the marketing system. The marketing system really says, okay, this is marketing 1 and 2 combined into this analysis that we're doing here for developing a marketing plan. Marketing 1, we looked at the external environment, culture, economy, technology, legal, political, demand for products, competition. These are the sorts of things we looked at in Marketing 1. Marketing 2, we certainly looked at more internal, and that was the price, the place, the product, promotion, financial resources, suppliers, goals and objectives, these sorts of things. We talked about SWOT, for example. Now, from a market planning, you take all of that information and you basically work through here to get an idea of how to go about thinking about the marketing plan. And looking at just the specific of the external environment, this graphic here looks at what are some of the influences, in terms of economic, competition, legal, social, cultural, and technology. What do we have going on? We think about things like inflation, unemployment, competitors, technology, legal environment, lifestyles, how they're changing, demographics, how they're changing, purchase pattern, trends. And this is all going to be important in order to assess in terms of your marketing plan. Looking at the internal environment right here, we're really looking at things like the product, price, place, promotion. These are going to be looking at answering, your marketing plan will answer some of these questions. With regards to the product, what is the stuff you're making? What's the style, the features, the options, the brand names, the packages, the sizes, the service, the availability, the warranties? In terms of price, how is price going to affect our quality image? Do we have different prices for different people? Do we have list price, lower prices for someone else, like a trade discounts, alike? Distribution, how do we sell it? Do we go through retailers, wholesalers? Do we sell that online? Where do we sell it to? And in terms of promotion, what are some of the media alternatives? Advertising, promotion, word of mouth, online. These are some of the things we need to think about there. Ultimately, it all boils down to where we left off yesterday. You need to be able to say, okay, let's take all that theory and let's apply it. How do we work and build a marketing plan? Well, our marketing plan really has, or flows through, this general theme, okay, general process. As I say, everyone's a little bit different, and there's no set rules, but it should basically encompass these elements. What is the product and service? What is the market situation? What are the company's goals, long and short term? And what are some of the restraints or I'll call it the challenges that the company is going to face? That would normally come out of our weaknesses or threats in terms of our SWOT analysis. What are the basic objectives? What do we want to do? What are our objectives? They got to be specific and they got to be measurable. That's important. What basic market strategies are we going to have? And how are we actually going to make that happen? What is the action in order to make that strategy happen? How do the rubber hit the road? Those things are important, and we need to be able to move our marketing plan ahead. And as we're operationalizing it, we say, okay, let's look about, is this working? Are our programs working? Are objectives working? So we need to be able to kind of look at that. So we basically do a draft of marketing plan with all that in. We put in a monitoring methodology. How are we going to check to make sure our marketing plan is going? And effectively, we say, how much is it going to cost to do that, which is the feasibility of programs against the resources. That's a budget, by any other name. What is it going to cost? Do we have enough money to do this? And finalize the marketing plan. So what I've done in here is I have taken a sample marketing plan, okay, for a rather straightforward company. This is the Star software. And I have basically taken a marketing plan that was written for this company, and I want to just compare. I can't read it all here. Obviously, it's small print. I do have it linked, so you can read the full document. But effectively, here's the general format. Just like the business plan, it has an executive summary in and of itself. It has an environmental analysis. This is looking at the external environment. We're looking at, the economy, the culture, the demographics, the technology, the competition, these sorts of elements, the legal environment. And you'll see under the environmental analysis, we've got the marketing environment. We're looking at competitive forces. What's going on? We're looking at economic forces, political forces, legal and regulatory forces, technological forces, social cultural forces. So this is the what's going on out in the world part. Then we say, well, who are our target markets? Who is it that we're coming to sell to? So the analysis of current target markets assesses demographic, geographic, psychographic, and product usage characteristics of the target market. It also assesses the current needs of each of the firm's target markets, anticipated changes in the needs, and how the organization current products will meet these needs. So effectively, how good are we at tying what we have to the customer's needs? Then we start moving into what are our basic objectives? And that's one of the key things that a marketing plan has to handle, okay? Given the environment the way it is and the opportunities that exist from it, what are we going to do in order to take advantage of those? So the current market objectives and performance really is that stage that says, what do we got going on here to take advantage of the situation? So you'll notice within this, they have developed a SWOT analysis for what they have. And again, we looked at SWOT analysis. From the SWOT analysis, we start to look at our strategy moving forward. Matching strengths to opportunities, converting weaknesses and threats. So this is basically doing an analysis, a SWOT analysis to say, what do we got going on that's good? And what do we got going on that we can change to adapt and manage our weaknesses? So out of that come our objectives. Okay, we see the marketing objectives for the company. Our objectives are the broad goals of where we want to go. The strategies are how we're going to get there. So how are we going to target our market? How are we going to sell the product, the price, the place, and the promotion? We look at the marketing organization of our company. Who's doing this? Who are the people? And activities, responsibilities, and timetables. Timetable is important. Again, in order to make a plan, we talked about SMART goals. They got to be, okay, the goal has to be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. Right. They have in here a bunch of goals, and you will notice on April 1st, so time-bound. 3, 4, so they go on to talk about specific. Now, the great thing about a measurable goal is when you do your evaluation and control, which is the final part there, you're going to look back at those and say, did we achieve that goal? And the answer will be clear to us because it will be, yes, we did, or no, we don't. There's no real gray because, again, it is a SMART goal that's measurable. And finally, we got the evaluation control. This whole document you will find right here on this link, and you can read it in full.